keep the faith. Interpret that how you want. For some people, that's a religious connotation. For some people, it's a spiritual thing. For some, who knows what it is, but like it's, maybe there's the AA connotation of like there's something bigger that I'm part of. I think that's really grounding. Keep the faith. Of course, it's more important with the other areas of life, with our parenting, with our relationships, with believing in ourselves and loving ourselves and being grounded in ourselves. Like, man, life is really hard and you got to keep the faith.
Kill Complacency, a podcast that inspires growth and intentionality and helps you overcome your greatest obstacles.
What advice, Travis, do you give to somebody maybe starting off? I mean, you had a lot of grounding with your dad. He kind of set the bar high for you. But it also made it easier maybe for you to ease into it, right? Because you had the Macy name. So what advice do you give to somebody who's thinking maybe they need to do something, they need to be more intentional, they need to start moving their body?
Yeah.
And specifically in regards to this mindset, because there's a few different points in regards in your book, but what maybe one of those that they need to grab onto, is it the stories? Do you mean to go over the eight things with you? I haven't written down
maybe
here.
Let me answer your first question first, and then we can get to those. Well, I can remember this first question, but yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as far as me, like, definitely a lot less of like, the name or whatever, and more kind of like I said, just the perspective. Like when you've seen something modeled, even just seeing, and again, this goes back to Marty, like why I think it's important. Like you said, don't make the running or the finish or whatever a false idol, but keep in mind, like, man, I truly believe there's a value to your kids seeing you do this thing. And it's less of like, dad finished the 100K or dad got this time or whatever, and more of like, oh, dad went running again today. Oh, like, oh shit, it's hot out. And like, dad went running. And, like that's, like, that's what, just seeing that, because they're seeing someone exercise. They're seeing someone engage. They're seeing someone, do something they don't feel like doing. They're also seeing, I think it's a great conversation. Like, hey guys, I had a long run plan today and I woke up and I'm sick and I'm not going to run right now because I know that is not smart and that's going to make me sicker. Maybe I can do it tomorrow or maybe next week. But like, that is, that's a great nuance. Or they go to the race and it's like, oh shit, like dad dropped out at 35 miles or 10 or whatever. Like, that's good for them to see that's okay. Like, you're still okay. Things didn't happen how you wanted. Like, maybe the goal didn't come together, but like, yeah, it's okay. I did my best and like, that's what happened. I think that's a really good thing to see. So anyway, people who are just starting, like new runners, I could go on forever and ever, but I think I'll say two things. Like, number one, Marty, is like love and fun and play. Like, find those and cultivate those. And sometimes, like, especially like, especially when we're new at something, and I'm thinking right now about me right now swimming. Like, I can't swim quite well enough to not, like, every moment is kind of hard, and in running, many people, like, man, you start running, it is just hard. Like, it hurts and you're breathing hard and you're like, oh shit, like that was 3 miles. Like, how could I ever make it 5 or 10 or whatever? In the midst of that, like, look for and find, like I said, the love, the connection, the play, the fun, the novelty, the human connection, like being with people, the spirituality, the nature, like all of that is particularly in this age. Like, we got all these metrics and they're great, whatever, heart rate, HRV, like readiness, it goes on and on. Okay, those are tools, but like, start at the base, and the base is like, this is fun and it makes me feel good to be outside and I connect with people and I'm like a better person. And that's more important than like, what is my pace? What is my heart rate? Like, whatever. So you got to find those and cultivate those, and like cultivate the play, the fun, the novelty, because I think a lot of people, the typical, like the first someone's like, I'm going to run, and they like make a 3-mile loop in their neighborhood, right? And they go do it, and they're like, oh, I ran 33 minutes, and like, okay, day 2, I got to beat 33, and they go out and like 32, I'm great, yes, day 3, I got to beat 32 minutes, and they get like, oh, I did 34, and they're like, oh God, I suck, like, what's the problem? And like, it's like the same course, and every day is a race, right? And that like.
That's how I started.
Yeah, well, most people do. That's why everyone does.
I didn't know any better. I just every day had to be better.
I have a course and I just go as fast as I can, right? And either I make it and I'm great, or I don't and I suck, or like I keep doing it and then I just do a race every single day, and like pretty soon you're injured, right? Because that's what happens if you do. That's
what
race.
happened. Yeah, 100%.
It's what happens to everyone. So like you with novelty and spirit and fun. And again, that novelty, and that also means dynamism, like variety. Don't just do the same thing every single day. Like, go different places. And I think especially for many new athletes, it's like run slower. Like every day is not a race. And most days, for many people, for 80-20, like 80% of the time that you're running should feel pretty easy. And you should be able to like talk like we are now, a full conversation with your buddy or someone on your phone or just yourself. If you're breathing so hard you can't have a whole conversation, 80% of the time, like slow down. And that might mean walking. That might mean a lot of walking, and that's okay. But if you keep doing a lot of time at that, aerobic zone 2, whatever you call it, you'll get faster and faster at that work rate. And pretty soon you'll be running, maybe all you're doing is walking, and then you're doing a little running, and then you're doing like kind of a bit of running. And then you're like, eventually you become a well-developed, like endurance athlete with decades of experience. Like, if I run at zone 2, like it feels very easy aerobically, and it's pretty hard for my legs because I'm going pretty fast and like my legs can barely sustain it.
Over the years, I have been coached by countless mentors, and now I want to offer that to you as well. How? By Marty Hofmann's Life Coaching. This will be a 6-week program in which I will guarantee you will develop a more growth mindset. We will set goals and learn about the importance of the processes and habits behind those goals. I will also help you see your story differently as things happening for you, not to you. We will also be discussing your future self and give you clarity on who that is and what it looks like. For more information, please follow the link below or hop on martyhoffman.com and follow the coaching link.
So anyway, like and then again, like I said, consistency is super important. Like it's way more important to just do this activity consistently, even in little chunks. Even in, I went out for 20 minutes and I walked 15 and I ran 5, or I went out for 20 minutes and I walked, and I was at the top of my zone 2 per perceived exertion, per the talk test. Maybe incorporate heart rate, but like, boom, that's a workout. And then do something similar the next day. Get in the routine. And let it build and let it be. Like, it takes a while, like all these, usually it takes longer than we want. And, we'll feel the progress, but we got to find the fun and find the way that it works for you. Like, that's a big key, like, whatever. I got the Runner's World plan. I went on Training Peaks and I got the 50K plan. Like, okay, maybe those are a good starting point. Like, you got to do what works for you, like your schedule, your family, your job, your interests. Like, it has to be fun, and there has to be novelty, there has to be engagement. So you got to figure out how to do that alone, with a coach, with community, whatever. Yeah. And like, if things get stale, change it up. And rest is huge. Like, plan the rest. You got rest days, rest weeks, and flexibility with rest. Don't let yourself get into that hole physically and mentally, overtraining, just hammering. Like, people think like, oh, the grind, right? It's got to be like the pain cave. It's got to be a grind. And like, okay, sometimes it should feel hard, but like, man, most workouts, like, you should finish and you should feel like that was great. I'm excited and I'm finishing now, and I could probably do way more. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm happy. Like that's how every day you don't come in running on fumes. I just like all pain, no, all that stuff like that we got in high school sports or whatever. Like most of it should not feel like a grind. Some days should feel hard and maybe even very hard. If you want to race, you could do a race for fun. You can do if you're racing all out, like it's going to feel hard. Like that's, I think, how it's supposed to be. Most days should not feel like that.
This is so good, Travis, and I hope someone listens to this that was like me and starting out, because when I started, I ran on dirt roads, and I would just go as fast as I could for as long as I could.
Everyone does,
And
Marge. you know?
but only this year, when there's two things that happened this year. Number one, I started running long runs with a buddy, and now we have actually a little group. And that has been super fun for community. But the other thing that happened is I learned that if I'm going to go long, I have to go slow. I have to put in these slow runs. And
Yeah.
it made it much more fun because I'm not pounding pavement every time.
Yeah.
And it's okay to go at a slower pace and
have fun, explore, make it dynamic. Like I said, go new play. Sometimes it's, oh my God, I got to do X mileage and I got this course. And like, I love exploring. I like, I'm lucky to live like, out here in the mountains. Like, man,
yeah.
I just go out there and run. And like, I don't know what my pace is. Like, I don't know how far I'm like, I'm just like, I'm running and I'm with nature and I'm connecting. Maybe I got a buddy. Like maybe I'm with, like you said, the group running, the friends. Like, yes, it can be very good. Don't let it make you go, especially if it's your easy day. Like, your easy day may not be his or her easy day, right? And that could be fine. Maybe you're like, okay,
we always start off together and then everyone does their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Do that. That's great. Or I got like, these young, fast guys I run or bike with around here. And like, there's like, some of these guys, I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go ride 4 hours and like, all right, Nolan, I know this really is your zone too. And like, I am throttling it here. Like this is a very hard ride for me. And that's like, I plan that and I know that that's what it's going to be. Or I can also, maybe I go run with so-and-so and I'm like, this is way slower than my usual easy day pace if I was just alone. But like, there's human connection. There's fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting these other things. And if I'm running a little slower, that's fine.
It's still good. Yeah.
And I will say, back to my original answer, like also the beginning running, again, it's hard and it may take a while to get over that hump where like running, there's some ease to it, like I said, where I'm at with swimming right now, like, man, like it's just hard. And at times I'm like, oh, I'm feeling the flow, I'm feeling the glide. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired. Like I got to stop and like rest, and you may feel that way with running. You stop and you walk. That's okay. Like keep the faith that'll come. And the more that you do it, and the more you can do it without burning out, without getting injured, you'll find that flow. You'll find that ease. You'll find you're like, shit, I want to get out and do this because it feels good.
Yeah. A really good book on that is that Happy Runner book, or Run Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that you talking about David and Megan Roach?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they preach that, like, just enjoy it and be nice and kind and
be nice, be kind, and feeling that. One thing the Roaches tap into a lot that I really agree with is tapping into a collective energy when you're on a group run, when you're at a race, even you go out by yourself and you're on the road or your trail, like wave to people, smile at people, find, like, give that love and connectedness, and it'll come back to you. And especially in a race, and Marty, especially as you think about like these ultra runs, like, man, this is a real thing. Like, I always tell people, like, when you go downhill, because you're going to have lows and you're going to be whatever. You're doing you're 20 miles in and you're like, I feel worse than I ever have in my life. I'm vomiting and my legs hurt and like my mood has gone way down. And then you're like, I'm a third of the way through. And at 60 miles, it's going to be 3 times worse than this, right? That's the story we get. But it never always gets worse. Like it can get better. And I tell people, like, keep moving, keep eating, keep drinking, fix little problems before they become big ones. And then finally, and this may be the most important, tap into the power of human connection. because that is, man, out on that ultra course, like people are, and I would even a road, whatever, Chicago Marathon, 1 million people, like tap into that energy, find someone who has some stoke, who can pace off you, who like gives you a little smile, encouragement, like tap into that and give it out as well. Because if you're like, hey buddy, stay with me, like it's a feedback loop, right? You're helping each other. And in ultras, it's the best because you're sharing food. You're like, oh, I can't eat this, Joe. Oh, but hey, I'll eat that. You want to eat this? And you're pretty soon you're sharing clothes, and you're like, like someone's headlamp burns out, you're sharing a headlamp, like that, man. That's the magic,
When I started doing the marathons, I always tried to. My goal was always to thank every police officer who was pulling off the road.
Yeah.
Because it takes your mind off yourself, and it puts it on them, and the appreciation as well,
Yep. That's great. That's a great strategy. Yeah. Aid station volunteers, same thing, be nice, say thanks, wave, like, not only is that helping, they're working hard, they're out there freezing their ass off, all night long, but like that helps you, you're generating positivity and enthusiasm.
Well, that gratitude does all kinds of things psychologically, I think, too, as far as reframing. So can we talk a little bit about that? That was one of your points. The stories, good stories, bad stories. Because I think we could talk a lot about your book, but I think that's a really big one, because in life, whatever we're doing, right, we start buying into this lie or this story, and we can feed it and it can get bigger, or we can reframe it and we can tell ourselves a different story. And, in your book, you do that so well on different runs. You probably do all the time, but you're telling yourself, come on, Trav, we get faster when we go longer, or whatever. And so can you talk a little bit about that, changing our stories to go the distance?
Yeah, the stories are huge, Marty, and this this is running, but it's also life, and for me, more and more, like this is something I came to through endurance sports, and I found in literature, philosophy, etc. But like more and more, it's about like mindfulness and groundedness, and like the last few months, we were recording this in November. I had a concussion and a bike crash in July, and it was like really sticky and like really hard symptoms for a long time, and I came to the thankfully meditation was like the best tool to like calm the nervous system, even in the moment, to decrease the symptoms of a headache, of dizziness, of at times anxiety and depression. But meditation's been huge, and man, I think for an endurance athlete, like, man, this is a superpower. Like, and this is a skill. Like, work on it, and work on one of the things you do with meditation is you're just seeing these stories. You're seeing things come in and out. And here's a thought. Here's a, maybe I think this is a belief. Here's a, I like internal family systems, IFS. Like, here's a part of myself. Like, here's a part that kind of wants something, that's seeking something. But like, there's other parts as well. And maybe they want something else. And, being able to step back, like even before a race, like, oh shit, I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed, I'm anxious, like, oh my God, like, oh man, oh gee, I'm not even going to show up, right? It's too hard. Like, I don't want to be there, right? Okay, well, that's one part, that's one story. And I bet there's another part. I bet there's a part of you that's like worked really hard, that's feeling some confidence, like, right, that's feeling that uncertain, but like wants to be there and wants to toe the line, even if it doesn't work out. And that part counts too, and those are different. And even that feeling of anxiety, okay, that's a real feeling, but it's also kind of a story. And with anxiety in particular, we can, if we reframe that as excitement, like anxiety and excitement, they feel pretty much the same. We can call it anxiety, we can call it butterflies, we can try to get away, right? Usually we want to get away from it. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want those butterflies. Like, get me out of here, right? Like, whatever. Give me a beer. Give me like a toe injury so I don't have to like do this damn race tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, we all have those thoughts, but maybe we reframe that, like, okay, that's it. What if that's excitement? What if that's potential? What if that's potential energy that I can use and draw upon? I love, I really like, for me, that feel like potential energy, that kind of resonate,
Mm,
whatever. I'm a nerd. Like that feels good. So yeah, rewriting those stories, trying, again, and the more that we practice mindfulness, meditation, all of these things, like for me, that's super helpful in the moment during the race when it gets hard. It's helpful for me in working with clients, like helping people navigate this stuff, and talking with some about it. Your spouse, your friend, your coach, your whatever. Sometimes just getting those things out, or like
mhm,
in the book, it's like, okay, here's one story, here's another story. Like, which one you going to choose? And it's not
mhm,
that easy. Like that chapter, rewriting your stories. It's probably my favorite chapter, and like for me, like, dude, that's the hardest one. Like that's really
mhm.
hard because we can get so stuck in stories, even if we're trying not to choose it.
Well, and we can be so defeated with the results, whatever they are, um,
Yeah.
because of the story that we told ourselves and
Yep.
bought into. If you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store. It's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com. Mindsetshop.com.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's like, man, all of this, Marty, like, that's another reason, like, I think endurance sports are great because it's a playful and relatively low stakes
mm,
arena for us that word play. I've said it a few times. If we can view all this as play, like, play is fun, and play is like embracing uncertainty and just trying
mm,
stuff. For me, that feels a lot better than, I've had that story many times, especially in high school, like, whatever, here's the league championship 1600. Like, this determines the course of the rest of my
yeah,
life. Right. That's kind of that's a lot of pressure.
yeah. I, I think it was in that chapter where you went through kind of your life, and in this year it was this, and this year it was that, and
Mm, yep.
it's interesting how we have these agreements, I guess, or lies or stories that we believe that can become our identity if we're not careful. So that was one thing I really appreciated it. Like some people just focus on the bad stories and they feed that and it gets bigger.
Yeah.
But to your point, like we have to change the story. You have to change the script. And we have that within our mindset, we have that potential to rewrite it and to get stronger going uphill with no elevation or with high elevation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it starts up here in the mind. So
Yeah. Yeah, and having empathy and compassion for ourselves. Another one of my
mm,
mantras that I tell myself often is what we water grows. And okay, yes, I got this negative story. I got this. I'm kind of a neurodiverse person. I have an ADHD diagnosis, and like that's great. That can be a superpower. And like things my mind can kind of clench on things. And believe me, I know what that feels like. You got that negative, that spiraling
hmm
story. It could be athletics. It could be your marriage. It could be your business. It could be anything.
anything.
And it's hard to disengage and let go of that. And for me, at those moments, like what we water grows. It's a reminder, like, okay, let's try to solve this negative thing in some ways, but also like, man, grow the good. Like,
Mm,
if we're going to continue that garden metaphor, like let's grow that good stuff and let the roots, the leaves, whatever, like, sometimes it's less about solving the negative problem and more about all this good stuff that kind of, crowds it out.
that's so good. Travis, you still run or mostly are you getting into swimming now?
Yeah, running the last great question. Like I kind of, for me over the years, Marty, being an endurance athlete and being just an excited athlete, it's meant transitions. It's like
Mm,
well, honestly following like where is the current zest? Is it biking? Is
mm,
it Is it like for a couple years there, 3 or 4 years ago, burro racing, I was really into it. It's got a donkey with you. Like, look it up online, folks. This is a real thing. I mean, it is as quirky and weird as it gets, but it's a real thing. Like, and people, people in this little mountain valley I live in are like pretty into it. So I was really excited about that a couple years, and then things kind of shifted in like the last 2 years, like mountain biking in the summer, and then mountaineering, ski-mo. So, it's like you go uphill on climbing skins and then you race back down. I mean, you're racing all out on downhill moguls, powder, steep stuff, trees, whatever, but that's, the last couple of years, like that was a great fit. And now, like I said, I got this concussion, and like, man, it's honestly, it's been really hard. And like that, especially the speed and intensity I get with like riding a bike fast downhill or skiing fast downhill, like
compared to swimming.
Right now, like there's crashing is too much of a risk. Like I can't really have another head injury. Like I've had enough concussions. Like, man, this one was, I mean, I couldn't drive for a long time. Like it was scary. I could barely work. Anyway, like, okay, those things have been taken away. And because I remind myself I'm flexible, I'm creative, I'm resilient, and I like a lot of different stuff, and I got to find other stuff to be excited about. And so right now, like, man, I've had the best few months of running that I've had in probably 3 years. And like, whatever, like I'm playing. I'm like, run fast when I want to run fast, like, slow when maybe I'll do a race. Like I haven't really done just a pure running race for a long time. And like, I might just do one of those, and then the swimming thing, like I'm kind of getting excited, maybe like, someone, like I said, my dad did the Ironman 1987, like one of my favorite podcasts, my dad and I got to interview Mark Allen. And if people know, like Mark Allen, like, the Grip, like 6-time Ironman champ. And he, for whatever reason, even as a little kid, like, man, watch it. Like, I was like, I want to be Mark Allen. And it was something about, he was always talking about like his connection with nature and that kind of stuff that resonated with me. And so getting to interview Mark Allen with my dad was like really special. And like now, like my dad's getting into later stages of Alzheimer's, and like Marty, he doesn't remember the Ironman. He doesn't remember the Lead 100, the Eco Challenge. Like talking to Mark Allen, he doesn't remember that stuff, but there are moments where his zest, his joy, his spirit comes out. And one of those times, it's something about the Ironman and the triathlon. Like he remembers that logo, he remembers that word. And, and for some reason for me, like that's resonating right now. And that's like, let's get in the pool. Let's see how this goes. Maybe I'll do like my own little Ironman, like me and my buddy, Aaron Blood. I'm looking at his house right there. Aaron and I ran in college together 20 years ago. And now we like live across the street, and, we're at a similar phase, and we're like, maybe we'll just make an Ironman course and do it like right here in town. Like we'll swim in the pool or a lake, and then we'll go gravel bike around some roads and then run a marathon. So it's an idea, and it's a young idea. And like Marty, there's uncertainty because like, I don't know if I can like swimming still because of all the motion and the visual stimulus. Like it makes me pretty dizzy, like, and sometimes like for a while, and I'm just, get to May, like, will I be able to swim 2.4 miles and then get on the bike, and like not crash? Maybe not, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm, at least at the moment I'm acting as if. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's really cool, Travis. I love your upbeat spirit, because a lot of people, especially with your success, like you've done a lot of stuff, but a lot of people would be really in a gap, like, or could be in a gap about having to let it go. But you are so full of life and embracing what you can. And that's awesome. That's commendable.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm trying. And like, I mean, dude, believe me, like there's been a lot of lows. There's been periods of, when I stopped being, a quote professional athlete, like the contract's on the table, but maybe it's not a good fit. Like, I mean, believe me, there were soul searching moments of like, who am I if I'm not on the podium or aspiring to the podium? If I don't have the, whatever, the Hoka logo on my shirt, like, yeah, that shit's hard, man, and it's not either or. Like you could be way down and struggling and like have some stoke, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Hey, I am curious about one thing. Is it easier to be on a team in regards to pushing yourself mentally because there's other people that are relying on you, or is it nice to be on your own, like when you did the lead man, did that? Could you talk about maybe the pros and cons of that? Because that was a question, like when I listened to your book, I was just like, oh, dude, team events sound fun. Like, because there would be more push maybe.
Yeah, good question, Marty. For the listeners, the background, like, yeah, running usually is mostly a solo sport.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, man, these ultra runs, like, dude, that's a team sport. You got your crew, you got your
Sure.
pacers, you got like, and I love, like, this has come through. Like, I love tapping into that team, and that's like, it's just important for your pacers, for your crew, for your kids who are there. Like, oh shit, like dad started at 4 a.m. and like, now it's like he's still out there. Like, what the hell? Like that's really important for kids, like I said. So there's that team aspect, but I have done a lot of these, team specific races, mostly with adventure races. Usually you got a 4-person co-ed team and you're traveling together, it could be 6 hours, 12, 24. And then these longer ones, like we did the Eco Challenge in Fiji, like that's still on Amazon Prime. It's called World's Toughest Race, if people want to watch it. But those that, again, 4 people together the whole time, nonstop racing,
Mm-hmm.
6, 7, 8, 10, whatever days. And those I love too. Like I think life is a team sport, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's great to create teams and be in it together.
Mm.
So yeah, those, yeah, in some ways, like you got people relying on you, and like yeah, yes, like you're literally, maybe you're being pushed harder or further in. I mean, sometimes literally in terms of like people like pushing and dragging and supporting each other, in
Okay.
some ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that, but there's also, racing solo, whatever, the Leadville 100 mountain bike race, like, man, I do that. Like I'm pushing way, way harder acutely
Mm.
than I ever would in a team adventure race,
Sure.
because of the distance, the dynamics, whatever. But yeah, I think, again, I think, back to, it's not all or nothing. So, whatever, someone's an elite runner and they're like, oh shit, I'm done. Like, bleh, done being an athlete. I don't know. I mean, my advice or what's working, like, find something else. Like,
Mm.
get a team thing. Like, ride a bike, get in a
Yeah.
pool, ski. Or do art, do pottery, do
Mm.
find something else. That scratches that itch in the same way. But yeah, I love team stuff. Both of my books are, I worked with a team to create those, and like I
Sure.
really like that. They're like they're better because it was a team effort.
Yeah. That's what really saved me this year with running is that Saturday runs with different people, and then asking a couple of those guys to come be pacers for me. It I had them show up at a certain time, so then I had to put in the time right, all morning. I
Right,
couldn't
you're
slack
accountable.
off.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, for training, for consistency. Yeah, it's perfect. Let me ask you a question, Marty. Like, where are you at with your running journey? You're a few years in. Like, what are you liking, and what have you? You asked me the question. Like, what's your advice to Marty? Whatever it was 2-3 years ago, getting into running. Like, what do you wish you would have known?
Oh, yeah, I just jumped in a couple of years ago, and just signed up and did the thing. Um, I don't know. I wish I knew everything, but I don't, and I still don't know a lot. So there's still a lot to learn. As far as what I want to do moving forward is I kind of want to see what I can do. My goals for 2025 would be to kind of normalize the 50-mile race, or 100K, and make it kind of, because I did a lot of marathons, and just kind of make it what a marathon became, and then maybe conclude with a 100-miler, and then I'll reassess at that point. So my big thing is I don't want to get counterbalanced with the family.
Yep. Yep.
and they're doing that with us. They do a couple races. I've got some of the boys do. So they can always drag them along, but I don't want them to be bitter at me for not being home. So that's my big thing.
Yeah. Good for you, man. I like it. Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, and you probably know this, probably a lot of your listeners do, especially as the races get longer, like, man, you got to remember, like, don't do too many. And, sometimes we think like, 100 miler. And then we think, oh, marathon 50K, like that's nothing, like, no, that's not nothing. Like that still is very significant. And like, it beats you up, and like, you need to go into it fresh, and you need to plan recovery afterwards. You need to, I really like after a race, like, man, check out physically and mentally for some period of time, a week, 2 weeks, a month, like, it's going to vary from person to person, but that's like really important. And again, especially as the races get longer, I think we got to do less of them in a given year, and be okay with that, and be okay, again, I think it's great to have goals, and like, man, find the beauty in the process. Like,
Sure.
that goal, it happens or it doesn't happen, it's kind of whatever, but like, man, find that beauty day to day, the fitness, the wellness, the energy, the strength, the engagement, like that's the beauty.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the process, the journey and a lot of times I'll get emotional at the start, not the finish, but the start, because it's the journey that got me there, and it's the miles, and it's the rain and the snow, and
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
stuff that you're like, man, I got here, and I'm going to do this. So
Yeah. Cool. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. That final, yeah, it's a celebration at the end, and that feels good. That's another great story we can tell ourselves. The week of the race, this anxiety, this like the hyper focus, you're like, oh shit, do my running shorts actually fit? Like, like do my, like, it's like, of course, like they're the same shorts you wore
it's
like
fine.
every day. Yeah, they fit.
Yeah.
Like, stop worrying about it. But when we're in that mode, just what you said, Marty. That's so wise. Like, toeing the line, that's a celebration, and that is a privilege. Like, man, that's something like I think in COVID we learned, like being out there with the community and competing and racing, like that is a privilege, and that's something we learn with injury. Like, man, things come back, like I can toe the line, boom, like be grateful, and that really helps. Yeah, this is Marty. Thanks for all the great questions, man. I gotta go pick up a
Can I
sixth
ask you
grader in a minute.
two more real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, yep, yeah.
Give us a book recommendation. What's a favorite book of yours? Maybe it's one
Man,
you wrote, or maybe it's just one you've read
yeah.
over the years.
No, I love reading. I love nonfiction. I do a lot of nonfiction, listening to podcasts and audio books while I'm out running, biking, skiing. Lots of, especially biking, skiing, like uphill. Like nonfiction audiobook, like learning, studying, researching a podcast guest, and then downhill, I'm like, boom, put in the music, or just like be quiet and just be with nature. But Marty, I love fiction. I love, like, man, don't forget the fiction, like read and poetry,
Bubblegum.
fiction, like, yeah, find the authors that you like, and like, get into them. Peter Heller is an author who lives in Denver. It was kind of like interviewing Mark Allen. Like, he's my Mark Allen of like fiction. I just love his novels. I got to interview him in a podcast. Jonathan Howland, this climber. If I'll give one title, Native Air, awesome novel, and it's about climbing, but it's got these climbing archetypes, and it's great. Yeah, so Native Air, and then I've been really getting into Barbara Kingsolver recently, and she wrote this Demon Copperhead that was awesome. And right now, I'm almost done with the Poisonwood Bible, and that's yeah, it's great. There's nothing about running in it, but there's a lot about life and identity and religion, spirituality, cultures, democracy. It's great. So yeah,
When
read that.
when I go to
Don't only
fiction,
learn about like running and stuff. I
yeah.
love that as well, but like not only that.
When I go to fiction, I love Louis L'Amour westerns, and just the way he paints a picture. So
Yeah. I totally have a sweet spot for that, like romantic. I mean, dude, like burro racing. Like, what is like what's more quirky and romantic about the American West than like the story
yeah.
or the legend is like miners went out and like someone stakes a claim. There's gold here, but then like you got to race back to the
Mm-hmm.
claims office to file the claim.
Mm-hmm.
So you're running, down the mountain and you got your burro and your pick pan shovel and like all this shit with you. But like there's another guy who's trying to steal your claim. So you're like racing back, like who knows if that's true or not. But like, man, I love the story. I love like
Yeah. Yeah.
pretending I'm the man from Snowy River racing with the
Mm-hmm.
donkey down a hill.
Last question, Travis. If this is your final podcast, what's the message you want to leave with everybody?
I'll keep it simple. This, like it's something my dad used to say all the time, and um, I take it back. He can still like language is getting really hard, but he's to still say something. It's just keep the faith.
Mm.
And in that, like I think interpret that how you want. For some people, that's a religious connotation. For some people, it's a spiritual thing. For some, who knows what
Yeah.
it is, but like it's maybe there's the AA connotation of like there's something bigger that I'm part of.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really grounding. Keeping like, man, you're in the marathon, you hit the so-called wall at mile 20, 22, whatever, like keep the faith, or you're in that ultra, like we said, mile 20, like, or whatever. You're halfway through 100-mile. You're like, oh my God, it's 50 miles. And like, I think I'm going to die. It's going to be twice as bad at the finish. Like it probably won't. Like, keep the
Mm-hmm.
faith, and of course it's more important with the other areas of life, with our
Sure.
parenting, with our relationships, with believing in ourselves and loving ourselves and being grounded in ourselves. Like, man, like life is really hard and you got to keep the faith.
That's good. Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, Marty. Really appreciate it.
Wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives, to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there.